Good morning, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript Party. I'm my buddy Rhett. It is Sunday, July 25th, 26th. 5 days left in the month. And I'm working on my Space and Time ThreeJS project. It is my never-ending project. I guess it's going to be the ride or die project. Probably plan to work on this thing for like the next 20 years or so. It's a I chose the technology stack because it was like the kind of stack that would be very, very difficult to ever conquer. And I just wanted something that, just would constantly challenge me. And I would say it definitely has lived up to that. Now, we haven't really gotten much done, but we definitely, I have learned a lot, so much. Um, and also I have like a lot of things that I never thought of before. Um, so yeah, there we go. I think we can do like 16 of these things, and then you hit like a browser limitation. Let's just double check that. Let's just get that while we're here. Yep, see. Once you hit a certain number, the browser has like this sort of limitation where it will only do, I believe it's 16 of them. Let's see, there's 4, there's 8, there's 12, 16. I mostly counted that out because as I'm like aging, I'm starting to actually seek out ways to sort of cajole or convince my brain to create new neurons and all that. Um, and I think it's not really that the brain isn't capable of creating new neurons, even though that's what people try to say. I think what happens is you've just seen so much by the time you're starting to close in on 60 years old, you've seen so many things that you just don't have very many opportunities to create new neurons. Um, but anyways, I seen something today, like if you switch up the hand that you normally use to do anything, it'll actually force your brain to do the rewiring. And when that rewiring is happening, certain pieces of maintenance and stuff happen during that process. So, it's just a really good thing to do. But what I learned from our last, what it was, I think it was 19, right? We did 19 sessions to get the group refactor in. Yeah. So that was 19 days I worked on that. And I got it done and only 2 days of unit testing. And then it was complete. Now, one of the things that I've seen argued a lot, and I just never knew I had never been down the path, so I didn't really understand it. But like a lot of people will argue that unit tests should all, like every function should be pure and have its own unit test and all that. And I could definitely see a lot of benefits to that, but mostly not really because of the unit test, but mostly because it kind of enforces a certain level of structure and discipline, right? Because you're like, oh, okay, this thing's going to have to be able to be unit tested, so I got to do that. So feel like that's the main benefit, but I think there's a second, I think there's a, and one of the things I had tried to do is I had tried to say like, okay, every suite early on, every suite would be able to have 100% test coverage. So not only would everything be 100% covered, but then if I ran the unit test for a specific file, all I still got 100%. So nothing got kind of tested as a side effect. Everything was tested on its own. I mean, things got tested as a side effect as well, but like everything was tested on its own. I think that was a mistake. I think what you want to do is like it's really nice if you can get 100% test coverage, and the more of the test coverage that's like a side effect, the better, because like unit like trying to get a well-written function unit tested is trivial. Trying to catch when you have dead code is not easy. Trying to say, oh, I have hundreds of functions, thousands of functions. Actually, we can actually see what we have, like how many functions we've created. And I literally just I've thought of this like in a few times in passing, but I never like really, really, really thought about it until just now. I mean, I've never got to really take a look. It was just like this is probably the last thing I think about every night. So um, if we come in here and we find our tests, our coverage, and we take our index.html, we drag it over here. So we have 306 functions. Not some functions are tested as a side effect of testing some functions, right? So a function gets called and then it calls another function and then that gets coverage. It was really nice this last time when I couldn't, when there was functions that weren't called at all. And then I was just like, oh, why isn't this called? Oh, it's not used anymore. And then I was able to easily delete it. Like that, I've never had that experience before. That's the first time I've ever had that experience, and that was a really nice experience. So, so I do like not, I like test as much unit testing to get the coverage as a side effect, and that technically doesn't make it a unit test. That makes it more of what's it called? An interface test. It gives, but it's more of a larger grade test, and I find that to be incredibly useful. All right, so one thing I do know that is whenever you get like a new task, right? So I have this new task, and my new task is add icons for zoom in and out on update page, right? So, and this is just to add the icons. This isn't actually to implement it. So it's important to read that, and we might want to just double check that by going to GitHub and looking at the original issue, which I believe is going to be number 38, issue number 38. And this is like, to me, like a skill you really didn't need like in 1996, but boy, do you need it in 2025. Um, Being able to go, like, you just didn't have requirements like this. If, well, there were requirements, but requirements were very specific back then. You did not get like something like add icons. It was like you got screenshots, you got everything. Now it blows me away. It absolutely blows me away, space and time, that we don't have uh, like that every sales department of every IT company doesn't have a full-blown Cypress team to that runs through that helps the salespeople with demos and stuff. Because Cypress demos are rock solid, right? Like you're like, okay, this worked yesterday, it works perfectly, it worked every day, blah 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 blah. Oh, it's not working anymore. Something either the Cypress test needs to be updated or some they broke something. Um, I mean, it's just such a win-win. Okay, so it's add icons for Zoom, and I did not even give it a description. So I think I'm going to take that as, hey, all I want to do is add icons for zoom in and out on the page. We aren't actually trying to, um, we're not trying to actually implement zoom in and out, which is going to be complicated. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But basically, this is a new task, and right off the bat, like there's probably like a handful of ways that I've never really thought through. Um, but there's probably a handful of ways to actually make a to start, right? The starting spot. So sometimes the starting spot is like you just like maybe you start by creating a new UI, you have to create a new UI or something completely. There's just no talent. But in this specific case, the best spot would be to start this thing, add viz, and then change the view, and then hit update. Now, I don't know, like if you think about it, like what I wrote, that story I wrote, that would be all just about useless to somebody hadn't who wasn't there when we came up with ideas, right? It's just like, you know, how do you even know that this is just for the like this is how you get to the update page and this is what we mean by the update page. Um, but anyways, so we want to put this here, and I think I want the zoom in, zoom out buttons to be here. Right, so the first step we have to do is just find out what this is. Right, so I'm guessing it's like app toolbar or something like that. App update layout toolbar. And like in my mind right now, I just said, is that a good name? And that I think that's a great name. App update layout toolbar. This is the update layout toolbar. I think that's a very, very good one. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to go Control P in my browser. And then I'm going to go, and I can't even, yeah, and that looks exactly right. And I can't even tell you how many times, like I've worked with developers, and they're like, I just don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. And we just like get this far and they're like, oh, okay, I'm good. I can do it now. So like this first part, what we just did there is a skill. It really is a skill. And I know I do it without like even thinking twice, but it wasn't always like that. I sort of had to invent this thing. Alternatively, and probably what I used to do is I would have gone like inspect and then here I would go boom and then do a search like this. Control V. And then that takes me to the exact same spot. And now my boss, who's a master of this, but he was like he cut his teeth on databases, whereas I cut my teeth on like basic programming. So like in the very, very beginning, the basic programming. And then I spent most of my time on front end. So we kind of come from completely different backgrounds. And he kind of comes at this in a totally different way, which I absolutely love the way he does it, and it has really helped me a lot. But he'll look at this and he'll go, oh, okay, so this is our update page and this is the toolbar. So architecturally, that should be sitting like in some sort of update thing. And then he'll start searching. Um, or a lot of times he just remembers and he'll be like, oh, okay, so we know it's in our app and it's definitely a component. So let's open up our components. I'm closing everything else. And then layout, app layout menu, app layout, layouts, probably inside the layouts. And then here's our layouts, app update layout. Okay, so it's very likely inside of app update layout. And then let's make this a little bigger. Oh, yep, app layout toolbar. That totally makes sense that this would be called app layout toolbar. He would go back over here and say, yeah, I think that makes sense. And then he would go, and a lot of times he'll just remember where these things are. So, and then he comes in here and then he'll probably just do some sort of small thing just to double check that it's the right one, that he's working in the right thing. Go over here, wait for this thing to recompile. Don't know why it's not recompiling. Oh, I see it recompiling in there. Yep, and now we have our question marks. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of it. So we know this is where we want it, and I know I want it to be right. Um, I want it right now, it's to the left. I'm pretty sure I want this to be to the right. And I know that Angular, so I would love to use the Angular toolbar. The problem is that the Angular toolbar just leaves a lot of detached nodes. I don't know if it's still doing that. It probably is if we do inspect. Let's just double check that too. Because I don't think there's anything we can even do about detached memory. Um, elements, like detached elements. I don't like we could change the way we do some stuff, but uh, let's just record this. And then I guess we'll stop recording. Or that's clear. Does this stop? I guess that's all it did. So you see these mat things, they tend to do a lot of create a lot of detached elements as you leave and come back and stuff like that. And I honestly don't think there's anything you could do about this. I think this is something that the material team is going to have to figure out is how to stop their their processes from creating these things because a detached node is like something that Java that exists in the it exists in the DOM in the document object model. These guys are just sitting in the DOM, but JavaScript does not have a reference to them. So JavaScript couldn't has no idea that they exist. Um, and that's going to be a real problem on the most projects, 99.99% of projects. It's not a big deal, but in this project, like it's going to be a big deal. So let me mute that real quick. Can't remember how to. Is that it? Yeah, I think no. There we go. Hey, I'm good. I'm right in the middle of my show, but what's up, man? All right, love you. I think you guys could hear that. I don't know. I think I hit the wrong thing. I'm not sure. So, anyways, sorry about that. I hope you guys can hear me now. That was weird. All right. So, anyway, we're creating detached nodes. I don't want to create detached nodes. I hope you guys can hear me right now. I don't know what I did. I used to know how to turn the audio on and off. Anyways, so we're figuring this out. So the very first, so I just want to get a little something done, and I think the very first thing will be to. I wanted to use the toolbar because the mat toolbar, but the problem is I don't want the detached nodes, and this is probably the kind of page that you would go to, come back and leave, come back and leave, come back and leave. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to. So the goal will be to kind of, I guess, divide this up into two divs, and one div will be like all the way to the right. One div will take over the whole space, and one div will be all the way to the right. And I know there's a way to do that with Flex, and I know the HTML, the markup for it is going to be kind of like this. It's going to be, well, I know exactly what the markup is going to be like. It's going to be like this. It's going to be, and so div, and then div, and then and then div. All right. So we know that this is probably where my last pieces, like where these little, there's probably gonna be something over here, but nothing for now. So I'm gonna put in a non-breaking space just to make it very clear that this exists, and then we know that we want our task there. And then I'm trying to good try. I like to do as much as I can from memory, if at all possible. Um, so boom, 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 and there. So let's see what we get. Okay, so I think we still have the. Oh, okay, so put it on two things, and that's because the parent is not flex, right? I'm kind of thinking outside, thinking out loud, right? So I didn't. That wasn't like obvious to me. I literally just thought of that. So class equals toolbar parent, and then we're gonna make a class in here, and we're gonna make it a layout. I think it's type. Wrong one. That is interesting. I forgot about that. Anyways, let's go. Boom. So the class, so it's a class, so you put a dot in front of it. That's how you tell it it's you're updating a class, and then parent, and then you say display. I believe it's display and flex. Yeah. And then when I do that, what should happen is this should go to one line. I don't know why it's not though, because I thought the default for display flex. Oh, we did not. I do that all the time. I can't believe how often I do this. Hit save. Now, hopefully, yeah. So now it's all on one line, but we want this everything in here to be pushed to the right. So we want all of this. So I don't remember exactly how to do that. I know I want somehow for this to take up all the space that this doesn't take. So, and I don't really remember, like flex is not, to me, flex doesn't seem like easy to understand. So, um, I'm going to give this, so I'm thinking outside, like, okay, how would I figure this out on my own? And I probably would, I don't even know. I don't know how I'd figure this out on my own. I think I would have to, well, I guess I would look up flex, uh, try to find something on flex and then do that. But that is not what I'm going to do now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to ChatGPT and I'm going to ask it how I can um, make that push the second one all the way to the right. Um, this HTML and the parent div is layout flex has a CSS layout of flex. Um, how can I make the second div right? Um, I guess I'll say div float to the right. To, well, I guess I want to make the first div take all of the space so that the second div appears to be floating to the right. And floating is a like a technical term in CSS. There was like this whole concept of floats that's still around, but um, right. Okay. So it looks like the main thing is to give the first one a flex of one, and I like the way this works. So let's do this and drop this in here. And, and I do like the left and the right. And then looks like we don't even do anything with this. So all we need is the left. Uh, Most people do not like having. I'm very neutral on having like a class that doesn't do anything, but let's see. And so class is equal to the left. And that should do it. Yep, and there it is to the right. So I guess we're very close to having this one done anyway, so I guess we can just do it. Um, hang on one second. Hey, babe. I think I muted that, right? I don't know. We'll see. Um, all right, so I want to make this like a little matte icon, and I don't care which matte icon I use. I think I'll just use home for the moment. But we have to bring in, I'm gonna try to do this from memory. Um, and again, I guess I always feel good after I do something like this from memory because, and I guess it probably feels good because it's probably like making my brain smarter. But Matt, what is it? Uh, Matt icon module, and it brought it in. That just magically put that in there up here on Matt icon module. Matt icon module, and then I think what you do is you go like this. Matt dash icon dash. Let's see, home. We should be able to see it over here. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So we did that right. We don't want home though. Um, we want zoom in and zoom out. So we know we want two of them. And then so we'll just put two of them. And then I'm just gonna like there's no reason I don't okay, yeah, the reason things are like white up here is because we don't actually have one. It's kind of wild to me that like if I do that it won't then I can go like this and now it will. All right, so we have our two little icons. I want to replace those with a zoom in and a zoom out. Uh, which mat icons do we usually use for zoom in and out? Okay, zoom in, zoom out. All right, well, that makes that easy. I don't do it very often, so I definitely won't um, remember it. You know, it's just not. I mean, it would be nice to remember, but zoom in. Was it underscore? Yeah, and zoom out. I think in is what I usually want on the left, and out is what I usually want on the right. Save, and I don't even know what we got. Oh, we got ChatGPT there. Yep, love it. All right. Guess we should make the Mac icons. I think what you would typically do is you say role equals button. And then this is makes it a lot easier um, for like screen readers and stuff to know that this is like a something that behaves like that causes actions on the screen as opposed to like a link that takes you somewhere or just some decorative thing. Um, and then we know that we want every mat icon that we have on here, we're going to want to have a hover. So we can just do this. And you know, we can actually save things and lower the chances of any kind of leakage, which I don't think is possible with Angular, but still, you know, things change. We get upgrades all the time. Who knows? But cursor pointer. Not only that, but adding it inside of a class gives it a much higher specificity score. And specificity score is what decides um, whether it shows up as a whether it gets honored or not. It will if another rule collides with it and the other rule has a higher specificity course. And that's something you can look up and you can learn. And if you study specificity scoring for like a half hour, you'd be amazed if you have to work on CSS how much easier it makes life. But anyway, so we have our specificity score. I mean, we have that. Oh, I want to bring in the tool, but not the toolbar, the tooltip. I worked at this one place once where we used these tooltips, and I mean, we would literally spend more time. We had to do unit testing there, and we had to do tooltips, and the tooltips would take more time than just about anything else. It was crazy how much time we would put on tooltips, and I don't really know why because they've been pretty easy. Maybe it's two like that. At tooltip. Hmm. All right. So I think I want to, instead of asking ChatGPT, I just want to go look at Angular material. Let's go to the components. Oh my gosh. Components and then tool tips, tooltip. And the main thing I'm trying to figure out is what in the world? Mat tool tip. I tried that, right? Didn't I try that? I tried that. I could have sworn I tried that. Mat tooltip module. Yeah. Why could it find icon module, but it couldn't find tooltip module? It's an interesting thing. I always think of like coding like in the enterprise versus like on personal things. Um, yeah, I don't know. To be kind of like if you had like a little tiny little Honda car, a little tiny little car, the difference between like changing a tire on your car versus changing a tire on an airplane, like on a big giant jet liner, it's just like it's the same verb, but boy, is it just a different experience. Okay, so now we have our mat tooltip. Yeah, okay, so this is the selector. And then I think it has an input. Default. So I think you just say equals. I can't remember how to do it. Let's go look at the examples. And then see, like if you go like that, see how this little tool, that's what we're looking at right here. And so now we're trying to figure out how to do okay, yeah, so you just say what it's equal to. It's pretty nice. I don't think the version of Angular that we were using at the job where we had to do tooltips all the time, I don't think that version um, supported, like, I don't think Angular Material had tooltips at the time. I'm not 100% sure on that. I definitely, uh, but we did not. We didn't. We used something called Tippy, I think, which was really nice and all that, but I think it was just our architecture made it very, very difficult to actually create tooltips. So just so you know, if you don't put the brackets around it, then that means it's to take literally whatever gets passed in. If you do put the brackets around, so if you do this, then that means to use what is the variable name from the template. I mean, from the TypeScript. But if you do this, zoom out. And you did notice that like I changed the whole layout. Now I'm vertical because I have more than one thing. I can also tell you that like we actually had a meeting where this came up. I was doing like a demo for my coworkers, and we had a meeting where this came up, and man, everybody agreed with me that like you want to do it like this if there's more than one thing. And the biggest one was the boss man, right? The boss man was like, um, we don't, um, it's easier to do to do um, it's easier to do pull requests when they're like that because it's easier to tell what actually happened. I think we do need a little like a some text here. Parentheses 100%. So right now it is 100% zoom. And see, yeah, I just that is just so weird. So this is a typical kind of thing, and generally, see how it's like not off, not the same. Um, It used to be that you'd want to change the line height of this, like put this in a span. But I think what people have been doing a little bit more is setting the layout. Well, let's see. If we do this, um, let's see. So I have seen places where you go like span, and then because I believe the foundational problem is the line height of this text is different than the line height of the I wonder, well, so was it line height? I don't know. I this always let's see. For some reason I thought this could be like pixels. 10 px. That was wild that the so all it's doing is making it taller. That is not what I want. Okay, let's see what the see that to me this is my absolute favorite thing about ChatGPT is like there's 100 solutions for this. I don't know what the current best solution considered is the best solution, but let's just that is like where ChatGPT really shines. Okay, so now I have this code. Now I have this markup. Um, but the alignment between the vertical alignment is off between the icons, the text. So there's a few good ways to fix it. Okay, so toolbar parent, flex, display flex, gap for, I don't really want to do that. Oh, man, that would be nice. If that works, that would be really nice. So this says that if I set the vertical alignment to middle of, here, we don't need this anymore, that those will line up. So we already have a style for that. So we should just be able to jump right into this. Control V. And I guess this is a bit confusing since left is kind of up here. Yeah, that did not fix it. Well, maybe I didn't save it though. I probably haven't saved it. Control S. Oh, that did work. Now I have a really weird black line across the top there that just showed up. Don't quite understand that. Inspect. Let's go. It kind of looks like it's this one, huh? Could be this one. All right, let's go with computed. Okay, so this has no margins or anything, so it's unlikely that it's that one. This could be it. It could be like some black behind there leading through, but see, there's no margin or padding or anything. It was weird because when we changed this style, let's change it back in here. Right, it was here. Oh no, it was in the matte icons that we changed the style. So let's increase this guy. So when we changed that to vertical, so that is definitely causing it. Let's try. I don't really want to do the L. Okay, let's try changing this. see, let's try padding 2px. That did not help. Now I'm going to change this to margin. See if that helps. Okay, so giving it a little bit of margin for some reason helped. Don't know why. So I'm going to give it a little margin. I don't really know why. I could probably figure it out. I don't think it's worth the time or effort to figure it out. But it looks like hopefully, if we give this a margin of 2px here, margin colon 2px. Right. All right, so I think we're in pretty good shape. I think we only want the margin top or margin. I think if you say 2 this and 0, then it won't do the margin because I don't really like how it's pushing those apart. It was pushing those apart a little bit more. Now that I look at it, I wish it was even less pushed apart. But I guess that is kind of nice. You know what? I changed my mind. I want the extra space. Make it a little easier to push these buttons. And right now it's 100%. So, anyways, I think we're done with this one. Tomorrow I'll look over the code and do a commit and push, and we'll pick up the other story, which is to add the show like original or show maximized, um, which basically like if we add this, we add one, and we go into edit mode. See, this is how it's supposed to look. But when we go into edit mode, it looks bigger. And that's because we're not showing it in its original view. We want the ability to see it as we'd see it in real life, not zoomed in like this. Um, it's not zoomed in, but not in this size. Basically, it's adapting to the container size, but its container size is the whole screen. But in this view, the container size is just a tiny little square. So we need to change the container size. We need to do something so that it looks right. Um, but anyways, but before we do that, we need to get the other two icons in there, which should be super simple. And that is going to be a different story. So anyways, or a different issue. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye.